Welcome everyone to today's webinar for auto dealers. We're here to introduce you to Salesforce's Automotive Cloud, built on the world's #1 CRM platform. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few quick notes about our webinar platform. Today's webinar will be recorded and shared with attendees by email. We encourage you to submit your questions at any time throughout the presentation using your Ask a Question widget on the bottom of your console. If time allows, we will do our best to answer your questions during the presentation. Otherwise, we will address them during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. As mentioned, we're here to share industry POV, walk you through Salesforce's Automotive Cloud, and Absolute's equity mining tool. We will also look at the industry use cases and how they are addressed using these solutions. We will close off the webinar with a demo followed by a Q&A period.
Now, as a previous general manager and owner of a Ford dealership, I'm an NADA graduate, class GDM 105, and I've completed the succession plan all the way to general manager. I have worked in every single seat within a dealership, giving me 10 years of on-the-ground in dealership experience. I speak your language. There's nothing worse than having people coming into the dealership trying to pitch you software, and you can see right away that they don't have any industry knowledge, any experience actually sitting within the dealership. Car people want to talk to car people when looking at these types of solutions. Like you, I've had skin in the game. I was an owner with my own money invested in the dealership. I was the buyer. I took a look at all the different technologies and changed all of them. I've walked the NADA show, sat in with every single supplier there, really allowing me to understand what dealer principals are thinking when purchasing software. It is a hit to your financial statement every single month, and you need to be able to justify the ROI, really seeing that money coming back and making sure your investment is properly done. So let's head over to really understanding some industry trends that are happening right now in the automotive industry. We'll see, why is it important to be the best that we can be, to leave zero revenue on the table? Obviously, it sounds obvious, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to generate the same profits of the past. Customer expectations have changed. Customers are expecting that Amazon or Apple-like level of customer service, instant. But this costs money. It's not easy. It's also not the industry standard in auto, if we're being honest. There's also less dependency on dealers. Customers are more independent, right? They're going to blog, they're going to social media. They're looking at YouTube influencers, reviewers, and in some cases, they want to buy directly themselves without having to go to the dealership. There's less need for that auto professional. Obviously, commercial is an exception, but in general, things are changing. Connected electric vehicles, they are changing the way dealers sell and service vehicles. It's important to mention that this is a threat to fixed operations profits, right? We go back 10 years, 100% absorption is something that was common. Everything you would sell on the front end was just gravy. Today, that absorption rate is a standard of 70%, 75%. What is it going to be in 5 years, in 10 years? 60%? We need to make sure that we could pick up as much money as we can, making sure your profits are staying intact. Now, there's also new selling models. We're seeing B2C initiatives driven by companies like Tesla, changing the sales process, online shopping, price negotiation. And there's a threat to vehicle profit margins at the dealer level. When I sold my dealership, I was ordering Mach-E dealers at the time. From cost to retail, there is less profit in these vehicles. Is this the trend? Is this what we're going to start seeing? And then we need to look at other revenue streams. There's emerging services, subscriptions, charging. How can we make more money? OEMs, the industry, there's not a clear path as to how we're going to address these lower dealer profits. So it becomes increasingly important to look at and choosing the right software so you can generate more revenue. So let's go on to the next slide here, and we'll take a look at, where do we start? How do we go about this? Well, the first thing we would do is we would do what's called a discovery session, reverse demos, understanding how you operate today, how your dealership operates. We look at what your dealer tech stack looks like. Like, what is the software being spent on? What software are you looking at? Your fixed expenses are possibly the most expensive thing you're spending in dealerships. You're spending 10 to 15K per US per month per dealership. There's a lot of money being spent here. And what we're trying to see when we're doing these discovery sessions is, can we consolidate any software? Can we consolidate any costs? What is the roadmap going to look like? What are these costs going to be? What is the scope? What is the timeline? Now, before we get too much into the granular here, first, we need to answer the question, what exactly is automotive cloud? And if you're out there and you're retailing ATVs, boats, heavy duty trucks, tractors, this solution also applies to you. So let me hand it off to Rajani from Salesforce to talk to you a little about automotive cloud.
Thank you, Johnny. I am so excited to be here with DAbsolute because it's with strategic partners like DAbsolute that we are able to build a solution that actually speaks the language of the customers and it has a greater adoption. So a little bit about Automotive Cloud product that we just launched in October of last year. So we are not yet a year in, but we have a lot of customers, like Johnny mentioned. So you could be OEMs, you could be dealers, you could be captive finance organizations, you could be fleet owners, you could also be a supplier to an automotive OEM, and they are finding value in the Automotive Cloud product. A little bit about the history of why we built it. So Johnny touched upon some of the emerging trends out there. But having come from a legacy OEM, we know that today they have so many systems that don't talk to each other. So these disparate systems have multiple sources of truth. What that leads to is all these customer-facing agents, like the dealers, the OEMs, on the left-hand side, the traditional players, as well as the new players on the right-hand side, have disjointed information, leading to disconnected experiences for the end customer. So if you can go to the next slide, therefore the customer is the one who is he is feeling the pain, and they are no longer used to, they all want the Amazon-like experience. So wouldn't it be great if all of those information can come together into a single platform where the customer is the center of it all, and not just a customer, but a household. What is in the garage? What does the customer drive? What does the spouse drive? What do the kids drive? And what do the kids may grow up to? And when maybe they are going to college and they are future drivers, right? So you want to have a holistic view of the customer and the household, along with everything about the vehicle the customer is driving, as well as all the financial information that is relevant to the customer and the vehicle. So if all of them come together into a single platform, the customer experience is seamless. And that's what we aim to do, is how can we provide a tool, a platform that enables all of our automotive customers to have a single source of truth, to react quickly to not only the emerging trends, but break the shackles that they have to live with all the legacy data that they have today. And hence, in the next slide, you will see we brought in this vision to light with this product, where again, the customer is in the center, but along with customer 360 and the household 360, we bring in vehicle 360, we bring in the financial information, we bring in all the dealer information, as well as working on sustainability, subscription, and mobility data in the future. And hence, we launched Automotive Cloud. We almost have 25 plus customers, like I shared, and we are not even a year in. So you could be an OEM, a dealer, you could be selling motorsports, RVs, bikes, boats. This would be something that you could find value in. But today, I'd like to touch a little bit about how the dealer community can find value in what we have launched. So in the next slide, I'd like to touch upon a little bit about how the architecture of Automotive Cloud is, because that would help us set the foundation for what's to follow, because then that could help us understand how the conversations of where Automotive Cloud can fit into all the different user scenarios. One thing to keep in mind is this Automotive Cloud is built with industry standards in mind, so it may not be shrink wrapped to a certain client, right? We are trying to have the basic foundational pillars there, the Lego building blocks that can be put together to be shrink wrapped to your client's needs. And hence we partner with partners like Absolute to make sure they understand the customer's needs. They make sure how automotive cloud building blocks can come together and address the needs of the customers. So this is an architecture diagram at a high level, and I would like to go from bottom up. So at the foundation, automotive cloud is not this baby that was just born on the side, right? Even though we were launched in October, it is built on core. It's built on Salesforce's sales and service cloud. What that means is all the value of sales and service cloud is part of automotive cloud. So when you get automotive cloud, you get the Salesforce platform, sales cloud, and service cloud. What you get in addition to that is the layers above. So the automotive data foundation, what we realized is, and we are not new, Salesforce is not new in the automotive field, right? We have customers who are almost 20 years old and have been with us on the journey. But what we realized is, depending on which customer partnered with which SI or how they implemented it, this was customized to meet their needs. So we realized that all our customers had to do a lot of customization for some very basic things. So Salesforce in general, this is the 12th industry cloud that we launched that speaks the industry language. So what Salesforce has done is started taking those vanilla products and started building industry flavors on top so that it could be a quick to market, easy to adopt, and easy implementation, meeting the needs of our customers. So what we have done in the automotive cloud is build auto-specific data elements. For example, a vehicle is the basic need in this industry. So why do we make all our customers build it custom? So we have taken the objects that we realize most of the industry players need, and we've made it part of our standard offering. And thrice a year, Salesforce promise, thrice a year, we will be enhancing this, right? So we will be adding to the data foundation. So once you get onto the train, you will find things that you can leverage today, but there's also this whole roadmap and vision that you can start leveraging in the future that might open up new doors for you. So data foundation, vehicle, assets, household, dealer, agent, out of the box standard. And that also means that we ensure backward compatibility. So once you are using it, when we do new releases, it's the onus is on us to make sure the testing is proven. And Star Standard framework is what we are adopting to build a Star Standard framework so that we can easily integrate with third parties, because we know we need to work well with all the third party players out there, like the SAPs and the DMS systems. So MuleSoft integration is something that we are relying heavily on to enable some of that. The layer above that is Flow for automotive and automation. And you will see things like Business Rules Engine, the Omni Studio, Service Process Studio. These are toolkits that you can use. These are low code. In fact, some of them are no code toolkits that can help you take what's out of the box and extend it to shrink wrap it to your client's needs without a lot of complicated coding. So this is included as part of Auto Cloud. And for example, actionable segmentation. So it can be used in different scenarios. If you're a captive finance customer, you can take it to look at your customer base and do a segmentation of a certain profile you need, maybe people who haven't made the last 3 payments, and you can have action plans where you can follow up on that. Doc Gen, so we still need to generate paper documents, that's part of it. Intelligent Doc Reader is something that's coming soon, later this year or early next year, where we realize in the dealer community and the captive finance community, paperwork still coming in as part of your loan origination process, etc. And so how can we seamlessly get paper documents converted to digital? So a lot of Business Rules Engine, if you want to have business rules that are managed by business and not be stuck with IT to make changes for, let's say, warranty claims, and those rules change a lot. So you don't want to have businesses' hands handcuffed. This is just an example. You don't want their hands to be handcuffed and an IT request to be queued up for any change that you want to make on the fly, because you want to react quickly to changing market scenario. So that flow for automotive is a toolkit with a lot of good standard out of the box enablers to help you quickly shrink wrap what's out of the box to meet your client's needs. And the layer above, that's again part of Automotive Cloud, is all the processes that we are again building out of the box so that you can go and implement it. The aim is that between the data foundation and the apps and processes, it meets 70-80% of your clients' needs, and you're only looking to develop the remaining 20% or 30%. So that's the aim. What processes we've already launched are lead management. So we've taken the lead management from Sales Cloud, but we've enhanced it to make it more automotive specific, added automotive flavors to it so that it speaks the automotive language. Vehicle console and driver console. So having every information about the vehicle, and then when we say driver console, it's the service console regarding what the odometer reading is, what the warranty is, who are the drivers, who are the dealers who are servicing the drivers, who are the loan and or lease agents involved here, what are the different services the car has gone through in the past, what were the fixes done, right? Everything and about the vehicle and the driver. And you can extend it to also when we add connected vehicle data, this will just keep getting richer. So as and when you plug in more of the data, this profile and this 360 view of the driver and the customer just keeps getting richer. Household management, we talked about. Warranty lifecycle management, again, all of these were launched so you can automatically submit your claims. You can look up the warranty on the vehicle and the parts. You can have business rules engine that automates some of the claims processing. And you can also manage when it gets automatically approved and which ones you would want to have a manual review, and then the payment process. So all of that end to end. Appointment management, that could be for test drive vehicles or even for servicing of the vehicles. Those are out of the box. Inventory search across your dealerships based on certain criteria of color and make and model are all already launched. In the future, we would also add inventory movements between one dealer to another. So if you're a dealer group, that would be something that would be of value too. So all of this out of the box already launched. And again, keep an eye out because every few months we are adding to the data foundation, we're adding to the flow for automotive, and they're adding to the processes that we are building out of the box for you. The layer above is not part of Auto Cloud, but it's called CRM Analytics for Automotive. So we've built an analytics SKU that is, again, speaking the language of dashboards that our customers care about. And it's very tightly integrated with Automotive Cloud. So it's not like to use it, you got to extract data, and then you got to build these dashboards. If you have that, the data is available, and many of these dashboards we are bringing out of the box for you, which of course you can take and extend to meet your needs. But things like the sales performance of the dealer, the OEM, how do you look at the lead and the opportunity? How do you score it so that you're only looking at very relevant leads that actually might convert to opportunities? Vehicle portfolio analytics, warranty analytics. Those with stars are in our roadmap, means in the next few releases, they will be part of our Automotive Cloud offering. And then the top layer is what we talk about, the ecosystem, right? We have all these other solutions in Salesforce. So for example, customer community, we have a customer community for automotive, and we have a partner community for automotive. So for example, in the partner community, OEMs might give a partner community license to the dealer so that they can very seamlessly interact with them. All the automotive data elements that we have added in Automotive Cloud can be surfaced in partner community and customer community, and you can do processes built on that. And then Data cloud is something I would like to touch for 2 minutes before I hand it back to Johnny. We are doing great things in the connected vehicle and data cloud area. If you all are in a Dreamforce or right after Dreamforce, you will hear for some of these announcements. But our aim is that we have auto-specific elements even in data cloud, so that marketing journeys, etc., can be that much more richer. And then we are also working with many of our partners like AWS to see how we can work with OEMs and get connected data into Auto Cloud. Again, that leads to your vehicle console and your driver console getting that much richer, and you being able to work on so many processes as a result of it with that much more one-stop shop, one source of truth within Automotive Cloud. So just in closing, for the dealers, 360-degree view of your customer, that you can see your purchase history and driver behavior, data-driven insights, so you can look at what the market trends is, what the customer preferences. You can combine your sales and service departments into a single pane of windows so that you can have upsell and cross-sell opportunities. And then you can also quickly react to the market trends out there, and you can scale the solution if Automotive Cloud is adopted. And we work well with all the DMS providers, is something that we know we have to seamlessly interchange data with. So MuleSoft, using MuleSoft connectors, etc. That's the offering for Automotive Cloud. So with that, I would hand it back to Johnny.
Yeah, thank you very much, Johnny. That was a great explanation of Auto Cloud. So we understand our dealers and the pain points that they're facing. Now, I'm not going to go into all of them, but these pain points are the foundation of some of the solutions we're going to see a little later in the demo that Peter is going to show us. Let's start off with lead management, which is core to the business. OEMs are expecting 10 to 15% conversion rates from online leads. Now, you can ask anybody in your 20 group around the table, what is the dealer reality? It's less than 5%. This is a challenge, right? Dealers are spending more money for used and new digital advertising, Trader, AdWords, Cars.com, Edmunds, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and conversions continue to be low, showing a weak ROI. So why in the world do we keep doing this? Why did I keep doing this? Well, there's a lack of alignment with OEMs and marketing. OEMs are focusing on national. Dealers, they have a regional focus. So there's a natural misalignment there. Perfect example. I had F-150s in my inventory that were selling themselves. I didn't need co-op to help push these vehicles. They were fast turning. However, I had 30 EcoSports that were aging, hitting the floor plan, and these needed co-op support, which we weren't getting. So there is a misalignment there. Salesforce empowers your dealership. It brings solution like marketing all on platform so that you can control and react to situations like this. Dealers are having trouble aligning sales and service. Departments are working in silos, service, sales, parts. And you'll probably say, well, there's the pay plans, which can possibly be a reason for this. True. But the information and customer value data is not transferred to all departments. Departments don't see the whole story. Perfect example, I had a large fleet customer that came to my service department. This customer was repairing vehicles at their own garage because they were massive and they did their own fixing of vehicles. They came, there was a job they thought was warranty. Unfortunately, it wasn't warranty. The advisor looked at the customer value, saw there was no value in service, and basically told them they had to pay. The customer was so insulted that they didn't take into consideration a goodwill, and we ended up losing that customer. This should never happen at a dealership level. Another example, let's talk about systems. Current systems don't scale well. Analytics often exist by single dealer only. It's really hard to compare data across dealers if you're a GM, if you're an owner. And there's also a problem for dealer groups that are in acquisition modes, picking up new CRMs, picking up new DMSs. And some of the upgrades are slow. These major upgrades take some downtime that is just not something that, should be happening. And then imagine being the IT manager, right? There's so many vendors, so many software solutions that they're dealing with because it's natural. You want to have the best of the best. So you're grabbing from all of the different vendors to kind of make up your solution set. So I'm going to go on to the next step just to kind of talk a little bit about the roadmap. Now, if Eric, you could go to the next slide. I just want to show the roadmap here. Like if I was still an owner of a dealership today and a Salesforce consultant came to see me, this is what I would want to see. This is how I would roll out the project. What you see in orange is what Rajani spoke about earlier. It's automotive cloud. It's the framework, what we're going to build it off of. Now, what you see in the other colors, these are other products in Salesforce that are going to be responding to some of the needs here. So let's focus on the orange. Driver 360, which Rajani spoke about. This is your standard CRM, your VIN solutions, your dealer socket. The second line is the equity mining tool. Something that would resonate with you would be like an auto alert. Dealer sockets revenue radar, for example. This is going to increase that chance of making revenue. And this is a solution we'll touch on a little later. This is specific to the Absolute, which we've built on top of Automotive Cloud. And then lastly, we've got Service Console. So grabbing some functionality over from Xtime. Now in green, we've got functionality for your BDC, grabbing the leads coming in from the internet. Managing, getting more CSIs out there, being able to manage that journey with the page with your customers coming at 6-month intervals. All of this is done through Marketing Cloud. And then we have some of these items are already provided by the OEM, but with very limited functionality. So for example, the loyalty program, the OEM offers this, but with a non-tiered approach where everyone is equal and often communicating promos to customers directly without the dealership even knowing. Dealer increase their, yeah. So I see a question about market share, and I will definitely touch on that. In the equity mining component, there's a module there that's going to be specific to market share. So it's a great question. So let's move on to the service side of things. Now, on the right, you've got the Salesforce product, and on the left, you have the dealer pain point, or what the industry solution is. So we're looking at Experience Cloud. This is your self-serve portals. The first one being for customers, and the second one being for your parts counter, your parts department that's wholesaling. So let's look at the customer side. You want to give that capability to your customer to log into a portal so they can look at their warranties, their recalls, their missing inspection report. What are their brakes at? What are their tires at? Oh, 5:30 seconds. We need to start thinking of changing the tires. And then on the wholesale part, well, you've got the wholesaling portal where if you're wholesaling parts to a Jiffy Lube or your local garage, well, they can log in, order the part, see if it's in inventory, be able to say if they're going to pick it up, if they need delivery, all that without having to bother your parts counter. Now, next we've got Salesforce Scheduler. So this is very similar to the Xtime functionality, being able to go in, menu selling, booking your appointment. Do you need a courtesy car? Do you need a rental? Are you a waiter? All of this is done through that platform there. You can also use some functionality for test drive booking as well if you're looking to have more of a new car functionality there. Next, we've got digital engagement. So this is consolidating all customer communications. If you're selling through WhatsApp, social media, this is capable. The next line is your Service Cloud for voice. So voice over IP integration, same logic as your social media, all integrated into the CRM platform. Now, the next line is more from an owner or GM perspective. I saw this was a question coming in. If you have a report that you're looking at in your ERP or you're looking at it in a different software and you want to have it all on platform, we can see that report and we can replicate it onto the Salesforce platform so that you have all the information right on platform. Now, these next two are specific to managing your field service. So if you want to have a solution that's going to be able to help you in your shop, managing, getting the right jobs to the right techs, making sure that your diesel certified mechanic is working on a diesel truck, all of this is done through our field service solution. And then there's virtual remote assistance. Imagine having your mechanic under the car, showing the customer that the brakes need to be done, rather than having your advisor calling and saying, hey, look, brakes are finished. Can you turn them? No, they have to be changed. It's a completely different experience. So let's go to the next slide, because I did see there was a question on integration. Now, we have thought about and identified all possible integration points that a dealership needs to consider. We're talking DMS integration, right? We've successfully integrated, for example, CDK. Everything is flowing in and out of CDK. Desking integration, inbound leads from the OEM, whether it's from your manufacturer's website, your own website, social media, vAuto integration, JD Power, if you want to have Kelly Black Book information. All of this can flow into the Salesforce platform. So if we go to the next slide here, I'm going to set up the demo that we're going to be seeing shortly with Peter. So I'll talk to you a little bit about a few use cases. Now, the first one is our equity mining solution, which I have a slide dedicated to just that. And I will talk about the market share, but it's basically identifying new sales opportunities so that you can make money with the solution right away. Next is increasing your closing ratio by putting in dealer-specific sales process, having a checklist so that every one of your sales reps are asking the same questions. So when your desk or your manager's coming in for a TO, you have what it takes to close deals. There is no reason that there's a huge closing ratio gap between dealers. It shouldn't happen. Next is increasing F&I lost sales. Your F&I doesn't sell that warranty, that prepaid maintenance plan. Well, you know what? We need to take a second shot at it. Have Salesforce reach out and do the heavy lifting for you. Next is understanding that household customer value, being able to measure goodwill in service and sales so you can make an educated decision of, you know what, I'm going to take care of this customer. This is a good customer to the house. Next, we've got sourcing used vehicles through the drive-through, being able to save on auction fees and having the system make it easy so that you can fill your used car inventory. Reducing obsolete parts, making sure that your inventory isn't aging. How many times does a customer book an appointment, orders a parts, never shows up? We're going to have the system work for us so that we can reach back out to the customer, have triggers to return the part to the OEM, or even something as simple as running sales contests, which is so tedious for your management. But being able to bake these into the system so that you can easily pull out a sales contest on hours per RO, profit per unit, F&I average, the sky's the limit. It really is a question of your creativity. Now we'll just go to the next slide here, where we'll kind of double click on the equity mining tool. So this is something that The Absolute has developed that sits on top of Auto Cloud. And it's so important as a tool because it really allows you to sell more immediately and increase your ROI, being able to justify putting money into a software, which is hitting your financials every month. Now, here's where you see being able to identify lower payments, equity, customers in equity, where we can lower their interest rate, end of term, service not sold, directly impacted to market share. These are customers that are coming to your service department, but they have not bought a vehicle. So we can pull these customers out to immediately target these customers, which would be a direct +1 to your market share. Then we've got lease over mileage, being able to help customers that are about to bust their mileage. And then we've got sold not service, and we also have no show for service in X amount of months if we want to be able to flag customers that are potentially not coming to your service anymore. All right, so let's just go to the next slides here. This is kind of just explaining what our rationale is. When we say we're focusing on use cases that focus on ROI, what do we mean? These are examples of how we're going to work with you with your numbers to be able to justify these costs. This is an example of, okay, great, we're going to put that checklist, the questions in the sales process. Okay, a 5% increase in closing ratio. What does that mean to my bottom line, to my financials? We'll help you calculate that. The next slide is focused on your CSI returns. We're leaving money on the table because there's not enough CSIs coming back. So if we can increase the CSI return percentage by 10%, what does that mean monetarily for me? So we'll help you work that. And then the last slide here is regarding buying vehicles in your drive-through, in your service drive-through. If we could buy one vehicle, one trade-in through your drive-through a week, what does that mean? 3 per week. We can see immediately how important and how significant the value is here. Now, I think that I've spoken enough here. I see some questions. I want to leave some time at the end to be able to answer some of the questions we're not going to cover. I think it's time to see Automotive Cloud in action. So I'll hand it over to Peter, who's going to show you a short demo of the Automotive Cloud solution.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Johnny. Thanks a lot for that introduction. And I'll take control of the screen here now. If you want to just stop, Erica, if you don't mind stopping sharing. Fantastic. Okay. So as Johnny said, we're going to be discussing a lot of the capabilities of Salesforce with respect to how it can aid in essentially data visualization and analytics to improve your lead generation, to break down some of the walls that are built up or that remain between your sales and your service components of your business, and to ensure and increase visibility to data. So just to begin with, blanket statement, when we're talking about Salesforce, when we're talking about dashboards, what you can see on screen right now is a dashboard, and it's made up of all of these tiles, which are individual reports. Reports are effectively tables that can be filled with realistically any data that is held within Salesforce. And that includes data that might get integrated from another solution, another software solution that you have into Salesforce. And then a dashboard is a way of accumulating multiple reports that have similar or mutually beneficial information and displaying them in charts, graphs, little visual aids like gauges and things like that, so that it's easy to understand, process the information, and then also dig down, filter those tables, and really drive towards the information that you need. So we're going to start on a type of dashboard that you might expect to see, that users would expect to see and use on a daily basis constantly throughout their day. So our sales and our service manager might expect to use a dashboard like this constantly, maybe start off with it in the morning, continue viewing it and using it throughout the day to help drive their schedule, help drive their interactions with their coworkers and their employees. Now, we've kind of combined the two dashboards for sales managers and service managers into one spot to make it easier to see so that there's less clicking around between screens. But of course, these dashboards are completely configurable, so we could have an individual one for our sales manager, an individual one for our service manager, so on and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that there were some tiles, some reports in here that were familiar, right? Things like the sales prospect breakdown, sales stages, won sales, delivered vehicles. These are all standard things that we know that you already keep track of in your existing systems. And we're just giving you some familiarity and understanding that Salesforce can accomplish all of the types of data visualization, analytics, reporting that you're currently doing in your existing systems in Salesforce, as long as we have the data in there. And we're using a bunch of different methods of displaying this data, and all of it is interactive. So when I hover over this section, I can tell, okay, so these won sales are all part of the web type of sale. When I hover over here, this is the needs analysis sales in the sales stage, so on and so forth. Now, as Johnny mentioned, we've been hard at work at D'Absolute to develop and work towards ways of ensuring that Salesforce and Automotive Cloud works to help you in things that you don't want to have to spend too much time on, but that are vital to your business. So with respect to the service manager's day, we start off right here and we have this parts on order, no appointment, or as Johnny mentioned, there's the obsolete parts might be another name for it. This is a list of all of the activities, all of the tasks that have been automatically created for the account owner of a customer. So the salesperson has a task assigned to them to reach out and call the customer that set up an appointment that required for your dealership to purchase a part that needed to be installed on their vehicle. Now, they missed the appointment. That's when this task was created, and the account owner, the salesperson in charge of the account, is following up with them to make sure and check in on why they missed it. Is it because they went somewhere else that had a better deal? Is it because they forgot about the appointment and they want to reschedule, right? We want to know if I need to return this part before it becomes useless or it loses value, so that I don't lose any money on this interaction, or if I need to create a new appointment so that I can have this customer going through my service center and having this part installed. This is one way of visualizing. These are the tasks that need to be completed. This is the account that it's on. This is the person who we're contacting. And it also connects you to the appointment in your service center side. So right here, I can click the original appointments right there. So if the service manager needs to jump in, see if there were notes taken on that, or just reschedule it themselves manually, there's that ability there as well. I also mentioned we're trying to break down the walls between the sales and service side of things. So we've got sourcing trades through service appointments here. Now, this is a list of all of the appointments that are going through the service center for today, or it could be for tomorrow if you want to give your service manager some time. Your used car manager some time. Now, your used car manager would look through this list, would be able to see what vehicles, what accounts are going through your service center for the day, and would be able to filter this list based on certain types of vehicle, certain makes, models of vehicle that they know they need or they want in your used car lot. So they can go find those vehicles that are going into your service center, and then actually send a salesperson or the used car manager going themselves to speak with the customer while they're waiting, while their car is being worked on, and pitching them. So this is not only generating an easier way of not having to go through an auction and paying all of those fees, it's all happening within house, and it's a fantastic lead generation method. Now, on the side of working for both sales and service, we have the CSI surveys completed report. Now, this is just showing us we have X number of surveys that have been sent out, and we're able to see how many of them have been completed, how many of them are still incomplete. Now, and this is broken up between service and vehicle delivery, so kind of service and sales sides of things. And we're able to then take this report, react to, like, clicking on the incomplete surveys on our service side, and being able to go and reach out, remind our customer of the incomplete report so that they can go and react to that as soon as possible. Now, the real heart of what Johnny discussed was our equity mining types report. We've got things like lower interest, end of term, service not sold, lease over miles, all of these automated to pick out certain opportunities, customers, vehicles that are in your database that will then generate this lead, this opportunity for salespeople to take advantage of the automated processing of data to allow for them to not have to go through and manually gather this data and manually rake through boring spreadsheets. They've just got this report. They go, okay, you know what? Or your sales manager is going, okay, we haven't had very many service not sold leads recently. So I'm going to dive into that section of the report, and I'll start assigning out some of those leads to some of my salespeople. Or I'm going to dive into the lower payment section, and I'm going to start assigning out some of those leads. And as soon as I click on that lower payment part of the report, I'm automatically led to not just the report, but a filtered version of the report that only shows our lower payments, equity mining opportunities. We get a little bit of information on what's going on here, the idea of what kind of equity we're taking advantage of, the difference in our monthly payment that we're going to be able to offer our customers depending on each lead, and then we can jump into a specific lower payment. And this has all been designed by us to give you all of the information you need that your salespeople might need on a single screen. So not only are you not changing screens within Salesforce, you're no longer swivel chairing between 3 or 4 different solutions. You've got everything here. You've got information on the account, on your contact. You've got information on the vehicle that they currently own, that they bought from you, the last time they serviced it, the amount of money they spent while they're on that service. And then you've got information that all of the central information is set right here in the middle of the screen, right at the top. You have the estimated trade value, the estimated payoff, the equity position they're in, the current amount they're paying monthly for their current car. And then you've got the new vehicle, the new version of the car that they currently own that you're going to be able to offer to them for less money. And we can see here, okay, our current customer, they've got a 60-month term. Our salesperson clicks on our payment details right here, and immediately has a table listed out based on the term length of breaking down the amount financed, which is always going to be the same, setting the rate, the cash incentive that's available, the current payment, and then looks at how much our customer will be paying on the new car that we're offering them in exchange for their current car, and the amount that they'll be saving every single month when they're paying this off. And they can, do that salesperson thing where they're sitting right in front of the customer. They turn this screen around. It's nice, it's clean, and the customer can immediately get an idea of what kind of advantage they're getting, what kind of savings that they'll be making on opportunities like this. Now, what I've been walking through is a dashboard that'll be used every single day that has a lot of wide-ranging opportunities and possibilities for use, but not all dashboards are going to be used for things like that. We wanted to think a little bit wider, and so we created a dashboard for your general manager when they have to interact with their 20 group. Now, your 20 group, you go to meetings, you might get homework requests to gather data on, this KPI or that KPI, bring it back and compare it. With Salesforce, with these dashboards, the general manager doesn't have to worry about that and will be able to check in on this data, not have to spend a day or a few days gathering this information, going around to different people to try and compile it. The general manager just has to check this the day before, refresh it, maybe just grab a picture of it, put it in the PowerPoint for their presentation, and they're set to go. And they can immediately also dive into, again, this information to grab little tidbits of information on outliers, key sales opportunities that they took advantage of or that they helped champion, things like that, things that you want to bring up at your 20 group meetings. And we can see it's all broken down. It's even color coded. With respect to your average hours per service appointment, you want it to be above 1 hour, but you don't want it to be too high because then you're just spending way too much time and your customers are going to be getting frustrated. So above 1 hour, we're happy with that. So it's green. Average repair cost per used car, we want to make sure that that's decently high. We want to make sure that it's higher than $600 at least, because that means that if it's lower than that, then our service department is, or our used car department is paying too little to our service department for the repairs on any used cars that are coming in. So we know, okay, so there's maybe some issues here. I might need to dive into this information, explore more here. Same thing with average used car profit. We set all of these goals, all of these brackets configurably. So I set the average repair cost per used car. That's going to be in the green as of $750. But again, that can be configurable. That can depend on your preferences, and it's very easy to change those, not just when you're setting everything up, when you have somebody like Absolute implementing for you, but even day to day, it's very, very easy to do. It's very manageable to configure on your own. And again, you have the capability for the general manager to go, okay, this looks like a perfect opportunity for something for a case study that I might bring up in my 20 group. I'm going to click on that outlier, dive into where this money came from, how come we're making this kind of money off of this opportunity, maybe even speak to the salesperson involved in that sale, and I'll be able to talk about this more at my 20 group meeting. Really what we're trying to do, and what this demo, the purpose of this demo was to go over how Salesforce and Salesforce's analytic abilities and Absolute's knowledge of the industry can help to automate a lot of the data processing so that your users are just taking advantage of that data, making their lives easier, not having to stare at endless Excel spreadsheets, and being able to just take advantage of that data and do the parts of the job that they actually enjoy doing. So thank you very much for your time. And I'm going to hand it back over to Johnny to close out this portion of our webinar.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Peter. That was great. Always good to visualize it. So, Erica, if you could go to the yeah, perfect. So we're going to be by your side helping with the internal buy-in and the change management, which is arguably the most important part of any software change. Now, we all know that the executive team ultimately are the ones with the final say, right? Your president, VP, controller, and GM. But we cannot neglect a very important part of the decision-making process, which is your in-dealership champions, your sales, your fixed ops managers. We need their buy-in for a successful rollout of the software within your dealership. And an important part of getting their buy-in is to understand when to implicate them in this whole process. How are we charging Salesforce to the financial statement? Are we putting it into the controllable expenses? Are we putting it in the fixed expenses? Because these decisions can literally give a pay cut to your sales managers, which are not going to push it to your reps or your employees. All of this needs to be considered, and we're going to help you navigate all this. Now, if we go to the next slide, this is a slide really just talking about how we're going to address the money part of it. We're going to work with your NADA expense guidelines. We're going to help you show your ROI at your 20 group so you have that validation. Now, let's just take a step back here. There are three main pillars that an OEM focuses on when considering if a dealership is in good standing or not. There's overall profitability, market share, and CSI scores. We've seen solutions that address all three of these. Now, at the end of the day, you need to answer the most important question, which is, why are you doing all this? Why go through the trouble of changing? Because your dealership has the chance to focus on use cases that you want to monetize. You're not stuck with industry solutions that are made to fit everyone. You are limited literally by your creativity, allowing you to differentiate yourself from your dealer group competitors. Now, in all my years in auto, changing the in-dealership software and seeing the direct impact on my financial statement was the most rewarding thing I did in my auto career. So I 100% believe that having the right software can change the profitability of a dealership, because I did experience it firsthand. I'm just going to stop there because I'm looking at time. I want to leave some questions for time. So Erica, what I'll do is I'll send it off to you and see if we have any questions.
Thank you, Johnny. Actually, there was a question about what does the BDC view look like? I'm not sure if we're able to show that today or we could take it offline.
Yeah, so that's something that it's a good question. So that's going to be a little bit of a longer, we don't have a visual of it now, but essentially we do have a solution set for the BDC part of things. And, you know, I'm seeing some other questions. What it really comes down to, we can be looking at 10 different dealerships and 10 dealers will have their own reality of what they want it to look like as well. And I think that if there's one thing that you're going to leave here with, it's really understanding why Salesforce is so powerful. It's because you can have that view. You can have what it looks like to you without significant costs. It's not a custom solution which we need to code from scratch. It truly is configurations, and it's something that we can tweak so that you're really different than everyone else. Like, not everyone's reality is the same, so you may not want it to work the same way another dealership looks like. So in many ways, you know, looking at something, you might have an opinion, a difference of opinion, and say, you know what, this does work, but I'd rather do it this way because, you know, in some cases, some people are doing their BDC externally, right? They're outsourcing everything. Some of them are outsourcing it, but they want that outsourced company to be able to log in and use your BDC. There's so many different use cases and ways to look at it. And that's why the first step we do is having a discovery, really understanding how you operate and seeing if that's the best path forward, or can we question? We're going to push back and say, like, well, what we're seeing in industry is possibly going about it another way. What do you think about that? And these open discussions are going to help you shape your tech stack and help you really evolve and have something that's going to be really, you know, significant. And I do want to say that, I mean, if you're looking at betting on a software, Salesforce is something that's changing, it's evolving. Industry solutions, a lot of time you'll invest in something and it's great, but there's other suppliers that are going to end up going ahead and constantly evolving. And that's the beauty of Salesforce, is that if you see something you like that's happening elsewhere, we can configure it so that it basically shapes up to look like that. So you're not constantly looking for the next best vendor or the next best solution. Let's see.
Johnny, I have one last, I have a few other questions, but we only have 2 minutes left. So some of this may need to come in offline. So I'll let you decide, but how would you cost justify the solution for a dealership group with 50 plus individual dealership locations?
Yeah, it's a great question. From an affordability perspective, you know, if I had to throw a number out there, I would say 5 rooftops and more is going to make monetary sense. You need to be of a significant size to be able to have this, you know, comfortably make sense for you so that we can tweak the system to really have that competitive advantage. Now, Obviously, it really does come down to, you know, your profits of the different dealerships. Obviously, different regions are different, different brands are different. So we would have to look at that and see, you know, what kind of, how close are you to that NADA expense guideline, right? I mean, if you've got room and we can be creative, you know, that is a possibility. But if I do have to throw out a number, I'd say, you know, 5 large dealerships or more. So at 50 plus, you're definitely at this point, honestly, I'm excited looking at that, because you can do truly anything, you know, even if it's not exactly the way you wanted, we can build it out so that you can really differentiate your dealer group and have that competitive advantage for years.
Thank you, Johnny. So I see that we're 1 minute to go before we get to the end of this webinar. So, you know, we're going to encourage people. The recording will go out. We'll also give you an email to reach us at, so that if you'd like to ask us more questions or meet with Johnny or Salesforce to know more about Automotive Cloud or D-Absolute's equity mining tool, we are here for you. I'd like to thank our panelists today. So thank you, Johnny, for this. Thank you, Peter, for the demo, and a special thank you to Rajani from Salesforce for joining us today. As mentioned, the recording will go out, and please do not hesitate to reach out to us and send any of your questions so that we can schedule time with you if you'd like a personalized demo. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.